Ladies and gentlemen, Penn State football fans, Penn State football has officially got off to an amazing start this season. So let's get into breaking down this season and why I think Penn State could win the Big Ten and potentially win a national championship this year. As you Penn State fans should know, Penn State has got off to an electrifying start this season in college football 2023 as they are currently 4-0. And coming into the season, they were ranked at number 8 in the AP poll. However, they are continuing to climb as they were number 7 for a couple weeks and are now currently ranked number 6 in the updated AP poll. Penn State is playing amazing football, so you Penn State fans, make sure to subscribe and let's get into this breakdown. In week number 1 of the college football season, Penn State had one of the biggest matchups as they took on the West Virginia Mountaineers. And Penn State was favored by 14 heading into this game. However, many thought that this could actually be closer as this is a huge non-conference game. However, this game really solidified the Penn State Nittany Lions as a top contender in college football as they absolutely destroyed the Mountaineers. This was Drew Allar's first start as the Penn State starting quarterback, and he absolutely showed out in this game, as Penn State would ultimately end up beating the Mountaineers, and this would actually put Penn State on the map, and this would put them 1-0 heading into their Week 2 matchup. Penn State has a extremely easy matchup heading into Week number 2 as they faced off against the Delaware Blue Hens. And Penn State was heavily favored heading into this game. And Penn State completely proved themselves as they got out to a huge lead in the first half and rode this the rest of the way home, as they didn't even have to rely on Drew Allar as they took him out heading into the third quarter of this game and relied on their backup quarterback Bro Perbula to take them to victory. Penn State would completely demolish Delaware as they would end up winning this game 63-7, and this just gave the Nittany Lions huge momentum heading into their Week number 3 matchup. However, the country still seemed to be sleeping on the Nittany Lions as they still had them ranked number 7 even after huge victories in the first 2 weeks. And then in Week number 3, they faced off against the Illinois Fighting Illini at Illinois Stadium. This game took place in Champaign, Illinois, and this would be Drew Allar's first road start as the Penn State starting quarterback. And he would definitely struggle at times, as in his first start, they looked kind of shaky in the first half, and the offense was playing a little bit lackadaisical. However, the defense was making up for it. Going into halftime in this game, many Penn State fans were worried as Penn State was only up 7 on a bad Illinois team. However, the Penn State defense was the difference maker in this game as they completely shut down the Illinois offense, and they caused over 5 turnovers with 4 interceptions. And this allowed the Penn State offense to honestly just not even have to really show up in this game as they would ultimately end up winning, as Penn State would again cover the 14-point spread as they would end up winning this game 30-13, giving them huge momentum heading into their tough Week 4 matchup. In Week number 4, it was officially Penn State's whiteout game, and they had to face off against a very talented Iowa Hawkeyes team. And Penn State was favored by 2 touchdowns heading into this game, but many expected it to be closer due to the rainy conditions. And I was actually at this game, and the conditions were miserable. Penn State's offense looked absolutely abysmal in the first quarter as they would not score a single touchdown. However, in the second, they would pick it up by scoring 1 touchdown, and heading into halftime, they were up 10-0 on the Iowa Hawkeyes. However, it was actually the defense of Penn State that was the difference maker in this game as they would completely shut down the Iowa Hawkeyes offense and only allowed them to gain 76 yards. 76 yards in an entire college football game. Penn State's defense absolutely destroyed Iowa Hawkeyes. And Penn State's offense under Drew Allar would get going in the second half, and they would score 31 points as Penn State would end up defeating the Iowa Hawkeyes 31-0, completely shutting them out in the Penn State whiteout game. And now Penn State is finally getting the recognition they deserve as they're completely smoking teams and are 4-0 and are currently ranked number 6 in the AP poll heading into college football Week number 5. But that's not the end of the video, as I want to explain why Penn State will potentially win the Big Ten and why they could win the college football national championship this season. And it all comes down to how loaded their roster is. Penn State has a loaded offense led by their breakout star quarterback, sophomore Drew Allar, and an very experienced running back room. However, at times it seems that the offensive line and the receivers are lacking a little bit on the offensive side of the ball. However, we still must remember that it is early in the season and Penn State still has time to develop, and I think that they will easily fix these problems. And Penn State's offense looks absolutely amazing. However, arguably, the defense is much better. Penn State's defense has played absolutely amazing through the first 4 weeks of college football, and they have a loaded depth chart. Penn State's defense was able to absolutely shut out the Iowa Hawkeyes, who have a decent offense, but not a good one. However, they have held every single team to under 14 points this season. And honestly, the defense is just loaded from top to bottom. They have amazing edge rushers in Adisa Isaac, Chop Robinson, and Danny Dennis Sutton. And they have amazing linebackers in Abdul Carter and Kobe King. And then they have an amazing secondary led by their star cornerback in Kalen King. And yes, Kalen King and Kobe King are brothers. And Penn State's coaching is actually getting the job done too. In the last 11 games, Penn State has covered the spread in all 11, and Penn State is the only team right now in the nation that has scored 30 plus points in at least 12 straight games. And as you've seen in the thumbnail, Penn State has the only offense that has not turned the ball over at all this season. And the cards are setting up perfectly for this Penn State Nittany Lions team, as they are completely manhandling every competition in their way. However, their biggest games of the year obviously come against Michigan and Ohio State. And I think that they will be able to take care of business in these games. And I think that Penn State has a very legit shot at winning the Big Ten and making the college football playoff for their very first time. It's time to get excited, Penn State fans.